Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Scouting 5, recapping scouting news from around the world for the week of March 10th, 2025. I'm Scouter Ken, and I'm once again recording from St. Albert, Alberta. Not a ton of news this week, but it was recently Founders Day, the day every year that Scouts celebrate the birth of Baden-Powell, the founder of the Scouting movement. And of all the various ways that Scouts choose to celebrate this, my group, for example, did a outdoor day camp kind of thing with lots of fun activities and tacos in a bag and all of that good stuff. But of all the different stories I saw about how Scouts around the world marked this, I think this story from Kenya caught my eye the most. Quoting scout.org. On February 22nd, 2025, Nyeri, a town in central Kenya, came alive as over 10,000 Scouts from across the country and further afield, including the United Kingdom and the USA, gathered to celebrate the 168th anniversary of Robert Baden-Powell's birth, the founding of the Scouting movement. This annual event honored the rich legacy of Scouting and reaffirmed Nyeri's historical and symbolic significance as the place where Baden-Powell spent his final days and was laid to rest. Under the theme Inspiring Climate Change Solutions, celebrations kicked off with a procession from Paxtu, Baden-Powell's former residence at the Outspan Hotel. Scouts and officials then headed to the Baden-Powell Historical Gardens, where a solemn wreath-laying ceremony paid tribute to the founder. The day culminated at Dedan Kimathi Kamakunji grounds, where thousands of Scouts showcased their unity and shared values through encouraging programs, such as award ceremonies, to recognize work done by various Scouts. End quote. I gotta make a note. Maybe one of these days I should try and actually get to that, because it sounds like it's something they do every year, and it sounds like one heck of a gathering. It's almost a jamboree-size event, really, if you think about it. Meanwhile, over here in Canada, we are gearing up for what, for some groups at least, I don't think my group has ever done this one, but maybe this year. But for some groups at least, Scout Trees is an annual national fundraiser that Scout groups can use to both contribute beneficially to the environment and also raise some funds for their group. Quoting scouts.ca, get ready for our Scout Trees national fundraiser running from April 7th to June 6th. We are continuing to grow our impact with Canada's Forest Trust Corporation as our planting partner for the Scout Trees fundraiser. Together, we're embarking on a long-term collaboration to create forests across Canada by building a program that empowers youth with activities and learning resources to preserve and grow healthy, sustainable forest ecosystems. Scouts spend a lot of time having outdoor adventures, and connecting with nature is a big part of that. To ensure a sustainable future for Canada, we've built programming that teaches kids and young people about the benefits of a healthy planet and how to preserve it, fostering their growth into environmental leaders. End quote. Essentially, the way the Scout Trees fundraiser works is Scouts sell trees. And out of that, they get some proceeds. I think like 40% of proceeds come back to the Scout group. Like I say, my group's never done it before. We actually do a lot of our own fundraising, seem to generally have better luck with that. But this is one of a couple of different national level fundraisers that Scouts Canada does. And actually, I think this year a significant amount of the forest planting is happening in my home province of Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to look up and see if that is the case, but I believe that's the case. Meanwhile, some potential trouble for the Girl Scouts in the US over their cookies. Quoting MSN.com, a New York woman has filed a proposed class action lawsuit against the Girl Scouts of America following claims that the organization's cookies contain heavy metals, pesticides, and other toxins. The lawsuit, filed in federal court by Amy Mayo on Monday, claims that the Girl Scouts of America, along with cookie manufacturers Ferrero USA and Interbake Foods, operating under the name ABC Bakers, are selling cookies containing heavy metals and toxins. The lawsuit points to a study commissioned by the group Moms Across America and GMO Science that said that 100% of the cookies tested contained aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury, and that 13 cookies were positive for high levels of glyphosate, a herbicide typically used to kill weeds. The study wasn't published in a scientific journal, was not peer-reviewed, and used a small sample size, which Forbes pointed out doesn't necessarily reflect contamination levels nationwide. It also compared heavy metals and glyphosate levels not to U.S. Food and Drug Administration food safety standards, but rather to water safety limits set by the Environmental Protection Agency, which aren't applicable to food. Yet, the study's results were touted by popular podcaster Joe Rogan, amplifying the claims to a large audience and later going viral on TikTok and social media platforms beyond. The lawsuit echoes the findings of the study, alleging that Girl Scout cookies contain dangerous levels of heavy metals and pesticides. The suit seeks $5 million in damages for U.S. buyers of the cookies, as well as an injunction requiring the cookie sellers to update packaging to disclose the presence of the substances. End quote. It sounds like much ado about nothing. At the same time, it's a pretty big lawsuit. Now, one hopes that based on evidentiary standards or, the fact that the study does seem to have some issues with how it was carried out, that it either gets dismissed summarily or, the Girl Scouts are found not liable for the amount. But it does seem like a lot of nothing, basically, at least just based on what you can read here. But at the same time, a lawsuit's a lawsuit, and Joe Rogan, unfortunately, does have sometimes for good, sometimes not for good. Joe Rogan does have a significant amplifying effect, as do many of the larger podcasters. And so with that looming behind this, I worry that this might have a little bit more legs to it than it otherwise maybe should. Guess we'll have to follow and see what happens. On a little bit happier news, yesterday, March 12th, I'm recording this on the 13th, was National Girl Scouts Day. Quoting MSN.com yet again. National Girl Scouts Day is on Wednesday, March 12th. 113 years ago, Juliette Gordon Low founded Girl Scouts in Savannah, Georgia. She led her first troop meeting of 18 girls on March the 12th. These girls were trailblazers, passionate about learning and developing their skills at a time when women couldn't yet vote. They challenged social norms of the time by promoting self-reliance. Girl Scouts continues to encourage girls to forge their own paths and to follow what they love. Patches cover everything from survival skills and business maintenance to journalism. The holiday celebrates the organization and occurs in the middle of its annual Girl Scout Week. Each day of the week highlights a different principle. Sprint Sunday, Affirmation Monday, Troop Tuesday, Birthday Wednesday, when girls are encouraged to wear their full scouting uniform, Thankful Thursday, Flash Forward Friday, and Service Saturday. Quite a busy week if you're in the Girl Scout movement. And I know I talk a lot about Scouts doing disaster response in different parts of the world, but in this case, they're actually doing a little bit right in the U.S. Quoting MSN.com. Laurel Creek was filled with debris from homes washed away by Hurricane Helene's flooding. However, on Saturday, a group of Scouts from Southwest Virginia came together to assist a community in need. Some of the Scouts came from Abingdon, Virginia, a town that didn't experience the damage that Damascus did. These Scouts said that led them to want to help. None of the participating troops required their Scouts to participate. All in attendance chose to volunteer their time. The cleanup also inspired the boys to want to help again, whenever possible. End quote. And of course, with Easter coming up on us in a little while here, some Scout groups around the U.S., Scouting America, are going to be doing food drives if they haven't already done them. Quoting LimaOhio.com. Black Swamp Area Council Scouts will distribute door hangers for information about an upcoming Scouting for Food initiative, Saturday, March 8th. The Scouts will send the hangers out for the food drive, Saturday, March 1st. Scouts will return to collect donated canned goods and non-perishable items for those that received a door hanger to deliver them to local food banks and pantries. End quote. So in this case, past tense, that happened last weekend. But it is something to watch for. Scouting for Food is held a couple of times a year, usually around, I think, like Easter and Thanksgiving. And so watch for it in your area. If you happen to live in the United States, your local Scout group might be looking for food donations in the very near future. And that is all the news I have for you this week. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, be prepared.